Hello, welcome to I'm Angry, Annoyed, and Amused podcast. You're on with Mike. So next to me is Matt.
What's up?
Over there's Johnny.
Hello.
And across the table.
Yo.
That's me. Across the table's the other Mike.
All right.
I got a whole
Yo,
thing.
yo,
You
yo.
guys got. You're always stepping on my toes, man. You guys start doing the intro. All right, today.
DOGE.
Today. Oh, see, let him go. Other Mike.
That's
go.
all I know.
Take it.
DOGE.
Doge.
Department of Government Efficiency. I love it.
We're gonna talk
I
about.
think
It's
it's a
got off to a
brilliant
pretty
idea.
hot start.
Amazing.
We actually spoke
start.
about this. I don't know if we put it out, but we talked about it on a podcast when it was like a month ago ish. But like
before
before
it
they
was-
started
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
Before they
anything,
started doing anything.
just the idea of it.
Yeah, I know we didn't even talk. We talked about how we love the name.
Yeah.
Then we
Well, I
wanted.
didn't like. We
I
didn't
hate
like
the
the
name.
name.
I thought you guys did it. I
No,
thought you
we
said
thought
you
it was
wanted
like-
the coin,
it's-
the
No,
coin to
'cause
be
it-
their logo. You said.
No,
No,
it's
no.
Oh, you
it's
didn't?
a
You don't-
joke
you don't like
that that's the
DOGE.
thing.
I don't.
Oh.
I
I don't
think
like
it's
DOGE.
I-
Like Department of Government Efficiency is
It-
fine.
as
Yeah,
an
right.
idea.
We don't. I
But
didn't
the
like the
fact that
name
we
because it's like a
use the
name
acronym.
thing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's bad optics. Like,
I think it's bad optics. It's a
just
serious.
so
It
bad.
should. It's a good idea and
And
should
it should
be
be
a
taken
serious
seriously,
agency
yeah.
kind of thing.
Right.
And then to name it Doge is like, what is your?
It's like,
why
yeah.
would you make
it
a
just
joke
feels
out
like
of?
you're joking. Yeah.
Right.
Got it,
That's
got
why I
it.
didn't like the name. But the idea again, I think we all agree that it
Yeah.
was a great
the
idea.
makes sense. Yeah.
And it seems to
Absolutely.
be personally off to a pretty good start. I think.
It's. I mean, if
I don't
it's
know
all
what they've
real,
done so far.
if it's
The one-
real,
the
it's
one-
scary.
The
If you-
one contentious thing that I've seen that I do disagree with, but I think an investigation has to happen before like jumping to conclusions. But they were given somebody on like the Doge team. It's not a lot of people. It's like a small. I think he only hired like 20
people,
like 20-ish
I think.
people,
Yeah, I think it's 20.
plus Elon.
And it's supposed to decrease, right, as it goes.
Not the people. It only has a 2-year. They
It
have like
only
a.
has- yeah.
They have a.
Oh, I mean, chances are
There's
it'll
a
get
word
I think it's
for
a
it.
little of it. They haven't.
It's
well,
not the.
not a
Technically, it's
term.
not the full term. It's not 4 years.
Why?
They can
but
re-up it.
I
But
think they get a
it'll get
little over
extended.
2.
I was gonna
is what they
say.
did.
I think it'll get extended.
It probably will. I just mean
The
it's
idea.
not an indefinite. It's
Yeah.
not supposed
should
to
be.
It's supposed to be like
It's supposed to be a
they go
thing
in,
to
they
do
do an
now,
audit,
and then they're gone.
and
And
then
then
they're
they
Oh,
did it. It's
okay.
an audit. You're right. Fundamentally, it's an audit.
Oh, basically, so it's not like one of these other departments.
It's not
that-
supposed. It's
right.
like a new
not-
CIA.
it's
It
called-
fixes
That's
it.
the other
Fixes
thing
it, and then it's
that's
gone.
dumb about the name. They kind of did it just for Doge because it's not really a
Because
department.
it's gonna go away.
It's not
Well,
a
Okay.
department.
It's
so it's gonna
designed
go
to not
away.
be permanent.
But if it
Got it.
works,
But the idea of
they
it, I
might
like.
make a
I
permanent.
think they should do it
thing.
every couple of years. Like maybe you don't have to
Yeah.
do it every year, but
Right.
have Doge every 8 years. Make it run for 2 as a thing.
Well, it
not
depends.
Elon,
If
but the
they're-
idea of a government
Right.
efficiency.
Well, it depends.
An
If there's
audit. Really,
Democrats,
it's just an
if
audit.
there's Democrats in office, we need it more.
Fair enough. I mean, but anybody. I think both sides.
Both sides.
I get your point, though.
Too much
Funny,
money is
funny.
going out.
Like you,
Yeah. But I was gonna say the one thing I think that was negative of Doge that I've seen, and I know like we were talking about this. We're not like super. We haven't like read all of it, so we might get some specific facts wrong. Or
Yeah, for our hater out there.
But we're talking about the
be kind.
general. Yeah. We're talking about like the general idea of it, pretty much. But one thing that happened that there right now is like the real like argument I think going on with them is that they were given like I can't think of the name. There's a word for like there's like view only access and then there's like write access.
Yes, yes.
They were given write access apparently to the U.S. Treasury, which is
Okay.
like not good because they had like everybody's like
Right.
Social Security, all those things they had like access to,
Mm.
and technically were able to like they could have hypothetically made payments, blocked payments. They didn't, but they were, and then it was changed. Somebody figured it out or whatever, and then they changed it. Now it's view only. As far as I understand it, they didn't like make any payments or anything, and we were saying that part of Doge in general, like their charter, is that they're not doing anything
They're making
other than auditing. They're investigating,
based off of
and then
it.
they make investigations.
They're just going to report all the stuff, and then
Right.
the
Yeah,
decisions
right.
are going to have to be made as to
Hey,
whether
this
or
is
not
where
to
the
do
money's
that.
going.
I mean, just back to the thing.
Should we stop
with
it?
the access that they had? Just nothing is ever clear anymore.
That's the,
'Cause
I was
I-
trying
I-
to look it up. It was impossible.
I was trying to look it up
was
too to see if they
impossible.
really had that access,
It's
or
so
if
hard.
somebody's just complaining that they did, or they got into the building and they.
Yeah, I was like,
assumed
did
that
they hack it? Like I just read this
like,
article that it was like so bad. I
It's,
was like,
it's just so the reporting is so bad now. You don't know what's really going on, and even with like I know some of the programs that they're saying that money went to. I don't know if money really went to that stuff or not until it's officially reported, and
Yeah.
that's so frustrating.
It's crazy.
I just
They
went
are
on
real.
that site actually that you mentioned.
U.S. funding.
And all that
.gov,
says,
I
all
think.
I saw, and I didn't dig into it. I just looked at the front page, admittedly, but all that does is breaks down the government budget into the different categories, right? So the military spending, the this.
Yeah, but they
spending,
have links
that's
to if you look up the Doge one, I'll try to find you like a link, but for
I'll
anybody
look at
listening,
it.
there's
I
U.S.
just- I
No, I'm
just
just
looked at
I'm
it
just telling you
briefly.
because also I'll tell viewers. There's a U.S. funding.gov, I think it is.
I think that's what you said. Yeah.
Whatever the name, if you look up like Doge funding, whatever, it'll pull it to this. But they give like there's links through the website to the pretty much anything governmental. Ideally, I mean they don't do it because there is a lot of money laundering and illegal activity going on. But like
Apparently.
everything should be tied to like a not a bill necessarily, but like there's a paper
Usually
trail
a
for
bill.
everything.
Yeah, usually
There's,
it's a
right,
bill.
a bill or whatever. So like I just know because when I was looking a couple days ago, like when DOGE
USspending.gov.
spending.gov, US spending.gov, they came out with like a list of like all these, like one of them was I think $2 million for gender transition healthcare in Guatemala.
That's ridiculous.
And it's like okay, what not what does it mean? I know what it means, but like why would we who in America benefits from that
Laundering money.
to be using our taxpayer money?
Right.
So the real question then
Somebody's got a
becomes, are they really
Guatemalan bank
is the US government deciding that this is so important in Guatemala that it somehow helps like the US, like it is sort of US
there's-
based,
okay.
or is it truly money laundering and they're just calling it this thing,
Yeah,
and the
just,
money's getting sent to like
And
Pelosi,
someone has
like like an actual, it's not about it at all.
Someone has a Guatemalan bank account.
Right, yeah, exactly. So that's, and I don't know, that'll have to be the investigation, but that this website has links, so it says like this is that money, everything has to be tied out in the government technically. So it says this money was signed off to go here, and that's all that says.
Okay.
So the investigation as far as like who's actually getting paid, I don't know if I'll ever figure that out. I don't know if it's like, I'm sure they hide it. You know what I mean?
They should
If
be
it's
able
money
to-
laundering,
like,
they're hiding
if,
it.
If you can't figure it out, then you should shut it down. Right.
Right,
If
I
you
agree.
can't
I
prove
agree.
where the money's
Right.
going, you should shut it down.
I agree.
I think
Like
that's what
I
DOGE
just
is
saw
trying to do.
what's his name,
Yeah,
Zelensky,
that's what it
right?
seems like.
2 weeks ago came out and said
Yeah.
said $1 billion of the money that
He
he was
said
supposed to get.
100
He
billion.
lost.
They
100
got
billion?
178.
He lost, right?
178. He said I didn't see 100 of
100
it.
billion of it. You don't know where it went.
Yeah.
Like,
So
which is most of the aid.
Like that's ludicrous.
That's insane.
so where'd that
that's
go?
ludicrous.
That's on. Yeah.
Well, that's
You know,
I
so
think
the-
that's
Everybody's
DOGE's-
pockets.
I think that's their goal.
So
yeah.
I got a couple questions before you go on about. You called it Doges.
Doge. I think that's
Doges.
Doge's.
Doges.
Doges.
Oh,
Doges.
Doges. Because you
Apostrophe
put an
yes.
S. Gotcha.
Apostrophe yes.
I thought you called. So, all right.
Or else apostrophe.
My first question is: there's 20 people on it, right?
It's something like that, yeah.
But
It's like a small team.
we
It's
know
not like it's not
is Elon running it? Like,
He
is he the
is.
head of it?
He is.
Yeah.
What happened to Vivek?
Vivek.
He's running for
I
I don't
governor
know. There was
somewhere.
arguments.
But why'd
about
he
it.
pull
He,
out
like-
though?
He said.
He said 'cause
Vivek
he's-
said he was like, I just.
He just wanted to get it off the ground.
And then
And
he
he
was like, he
wants to-
trusted Elon to do it, but he wants to get more into like the political
But I think,
sphere.
listen, it could be that the two were button heads. Because
I think it was
they're
probably
both-
that.
They're both super genius. In a
Yeah.
way,
I
think they probably
right?
disagreed
And
about
they
what to
probably
target.
disagreed stuff.
Okay.
And Vivek just bowed out because
But he's running for governor
he
of
probably-
Ohio, I believe.
right, he
or
is doing it.
mayor.
And
No,
he said
governor.
he
got it.
needed to-
Governor.
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 He said he doesn't need to commit to that.
Okay.
It's-
So that answers
I don't know
that
if
question.
that's-
But yeah, he like
I don't know if
stepped
it's
up.
that
He
relevant.
said like no ill will.
Right.
Elon never like insinuated it, so it's
Right.
hard. It's another one where it's like hard to really
You don't
tell.
know what happened.
Like
Okay.
I saw a podcast with Vivek, and he's like, no, it wasn't like I didn't get like squeezed out. I chose. He's like, I wanted. I think it's a good idea. I trust Elon to do it. I
Right.
think it's more important that I become the governor.
Okay.
Of Ohio. He's like, I think that's better.
Yeah.
You
All
know,
right.
as a thing.
That's
so
fair. All right.
I'm gonna believe the guy who he could he lie? Could he?
Yeah,
Could
absolutely.
he be butting heads with Elon but doesn't want to give bad press? Sure, but
Yeah,
that's fine.
which I respect.
Also, that's okay.
It's
Right.
worth
Exactly.
checking his.
Okay. Then are any of them getting paid?
No.
I know. I don't think so.
No?
From what I understand, they're not getting paid.
Okay, that's impressive.
Yeah, but they're all like young guys. It's probably if you look into it, like Elon might be paying them, but they're not getting government
They're
salaries.
not getting government
Right.
salaries.
So I
from
don't
what I
know-
understand.
I don't know,
And
maybe-
Elon hired them all out of his. Did he take them from his companies or he hired them out?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I saw.
don't know where
I
they
kept
came
trying to.
from.
That's another one of those things. It's like the reporting on it's impossible.
I know, you
because
can't really
if you,
follow
they
it.
don't,
They were trying to
most articles say he hired like a bunch of 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't what like
They're trying
okay.
to keep.
Maybe they're 19. Are
I-
they good at their
I
thing? Like
think they're trying to keep
don't
the
know.
employees mostly a secret because some of the
Yeah,
names
that-
were revealed and that was like
yeah,
a
and
big
that's like a big scandal.
That
That's
was a
true.
big
That like the names, so they are.
Yeah, because they
trying
think
to
they're going to
keep them-
target them.
Yeah, they're
so like
trying to
no,
keep
we don't
them
actually. He doesn't have a
private.
list of the guys. He just said he's like I hired this
Oh,
many, and then, like,
that's true.
But,
That's
but
why you
half
can't
the
really
names
look
came
into
out. There's a
them,
problem
where
with
they
it.
came from, who
Oh, they're
they
just
were
gonna
working for
they're
them
just
or
gonna end
not.
up like going down
You
in plane
don't know,
crashes and
because-
stuff
Right,
like
if
that.
they got named,
Right.
probably.
Okay.
Right.
All right. And
Plane
last,
crashes, Mike.
yeah, I know. That's why I said it. No, last
of that
question,
recently.
because we heard
Bookmark that in your mind.
I'll remember to wear a helmet.
we've heard
And jump
Go
out of the
into
plane
position.
head first.
No, you have to go into the position.
Yeah.
Plane
Can you fit your head between your thing and those crowds to the helmet? That's
No
gonna
way.
be tough.
Continue there,
And my last question is because I've heard it like all the people in Congress bitching about it, saying that they're not appointed. So does it have any legal bearing? Can they actually
It
do
does.
this?
So this I looked into because I was like, I got into this. Okay, so the biggest argument against Elon Musk in general, not even Doge, but
Right.
kind of, is like he wasn't elected.
Right.
He was appointed. And the argument's like, well, why does he get to decide all this stuff?
Right.
But there's two things that are okay. So a president is allowed to
There is
create
a clause in the Constitution
that the
he can
president
create.
is allowed to create. There's like 4 things he's allowed.
board,
He
like
can
a-
create like a board. Like they do investigations that are just prompted by the. There's a name for it. It's not called an investigation,
Yeah.
but it's prompted by the president, and they can start. In the thing, it says temporary agencies, which DOGE is.
Okay.
It's allowed in their term. They're allowed to do that. The next president can immediately say DOGE is gone, and that's
Right.
also okay.
Right.
So the appointing thing is not a problem constitutionally.
Okay.
The issue with the Treasury thing is really where that came into effect because it's like they're not elected government agents technically, and they got right access to the U.S. Treasury.
Right.
But my thought actually when I read this is I was like, but we don't elect the U.S. Treasury people either.
Right.
Yeah.
They're also appointees. Everybody's appointed. Like anybody that isn't like senators, congressmen, or presidents
I mean, I think
are
I think
appointed
that was a
by
false
those
argument,
people.
because
Right.
I think it kind of died off too.
It did
little
because
bit.
there is no constitutional like
know.
standing on.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be able to do these things because he's not.
Yeah.
Especially because it's just a. They can only give recommendations. They're
Right.
not actually
not
like
doing
they're not
anything.
blocking payments. They're just making things public and then saying, particularly like in this instance with Trump, they're like, "Hey, Trump, this is where the money's going. Do you think or like whatever
I
agencies
thought
in
on
charge of that.
my news feed that I watch, that I'm a big fan of.
TikTok.
Yeah, that one. I thought I saw a video of them pulling the USAID sign down already. Was that just bullshit?
The aid-
From what?
Well,
USAID?
one of the
Yeah, yeah.
It's
things-
not. This is one of those misnomers.
one of the things. that they are doing-
USAID is not USAID, even though if you look up a sign, US is in red and AI or US is in white and AID is in red to make it look like it's USAID. It actually, I have the thing. It's United States International something development. Like it's not aid.
Okay.
It's not even. It's not. It's an acronym.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like a thing to
No, but I
disguise
think,
what they
Johnny,
actually
I think
do.
one of the things that they actually are doing is they were pulling leases from buildings that were empty,
Oh, okay.
and I
so
think that's
what
I
that
think
was.
that's where that came from. I
that
can't be.
I don't think that's
100% sure.
Doge. I think that's just the.
No, the government is. Yeah.
They're actually been right. Doge recommended it. They were like, "Hey, there's a bunch of buildings that are
Buildings that are- they're
empty
empty,
that the
so-
government's paying for," and then the government pulled funding.
so
like
that-
Trump or
Okay.
whoever.
I'm thinking that's where that came from.
That might
They
be
That's
that.
why it
That
was,
might be
yeah.
that. That might be
You
that.
know,
Right. No one was in there,
It-
so
it's
they
like
got
they
rid of
didn't
it.
shut that whole thing down, right?
Right.
What happened was, again, my understanding, and I try and research.
So I just want to say the thing real quick. It's U.S. Agency for International Development.
Right.
So it's not.
it's
It's
not
an
USAID.
acronym, and they use aid. I'm like, you're clearly making it look like
Yeah.
So
it's
there's other-
aid, but that's
so-
not even the thing.
Yeah, so there's a
Clever.
few things we got to handle there, right? So my first understanding is that President Trump shut all that funding down initially, but then it was handed, the department was handed to Rubio, and he said any critical funding will still go out.
Right.
They're going to hold
Because some of
that
it is
funding
money,
that's
or not money,
questionable.
medicine,
Food,
something else.
whatever. Right? So that aid is still going out, but the questionable ones, I guess, maybe still getting held up until they figure out what they are, right? And then what did you say? So then the other thing is, yes, that is specifically for money going outside the country, right? The president also wants DOGE to look at things inside the country, and the military is part of that. Because people are complaining, well, why don't you look at the military? There's a lot of money there we could probably find, and there is probably. I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
Tons. So he is going to look at that and other agencies as well.
Great.
So
And then
I know
MTA.
there's been complaints.
Maybe I think
about
it's a
that.
fantastic. I think it's working well. It seems to me.
Then
From a
there's an
third-party view?
argument that like if we stop giving aid to these countries, it's bad because China will step in. I don't buy that argument because I don't think these countries are in exclusive contracts with us.
Yeah.
No.
If they take money,
They're
from
gonna
us,
get it from
and,
other
and,
people
and
as
I
well.
can bet some of these countries we're giving money to can give a shit less about us.
If we
Like,
could,
Yeah, it's not, they wouldn't screw us
it's not
over.
like right. It's like
I think there's like this interesting thing that goes on with like U.S. foreign aid, right? Which is on one hand, people, and it really just depends on what party you're in or whatever, and then what the other party says, kind of thing, like generally. But it's like I personally am against U.S. foreign. I'm not against U.S. foreign aid, but like, so what's the argument? We do well, so we should help other countries. Cool with that, but with my money. When I'm not doing that well, like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
if everybody in the U.S.
my thing
was
was-
making tons of
Fine.
money and feeling great, for sure,
Let's share
for
it.
sure. But
No, but-
we have homeless people here.
Yeah,
Right.
I've always said that.
My
We
We
thing
have
target-
people going hungry here.
we
Gotta
should
help
target
our
the
own
issues
first.
here
That's my thing. I'm like,
first.
once that's all good, if we didn't have any homeless people, nobody was
Share the
hungry,
wealth.
share it. But
Right.
it seems like we're in a situation now where they're like,
We're
well,
giving
U.S.
a lot of
aid's
money that we
important,
could
and I'm
be
like, but
giving to people who
go to
are
look at
here.
Skid Row. Like,
well,
what
but
are you
that's what
talking
they're
about?
saying.
Right.
They're
Like,
saying like USAID is important, and my point is, well, what are we sending the money to? And is the money getting to that
Right. Is it
program?
actually helping
And is it
anybody?
helping?
Yeah.
Right?
Which
and,
probably
and
not.
so that's one thing. And then the other thing was like another argument I heard was, it's a goodwill thing. Like we want to stay on their good side so China doesn't step in and fill the void. But I'm like, China's probably shoveling money too. Like they don't care who they're going to take
They
it from.
Yeah,
bought
they're
half
gonna
Africa.
just take it.
Right. They'll
Like
take
now.
it. Right.
They own all the
I don't
farmland
think
in
that
Africa,
they're-
like half of ours.
I don't think that they're.
And then I saw an
worried
argument,
about
and
it.
this I think is one of the most ridiculous arguments. Who's going to be here for us if something happens? Nobody's ever going to be here for us.
No.
Nobody ever was gonna.
No
it's
one-
always us.
Exactly. It was always
It's
just
always
gonna
us.
be
We defend all
against the
them.
world. No one's dropping in shipments to
No.
North Carolina or California
Yeah, right.
to help us out.
Right,
With that
no one
stuff,
has.
Right. It's
No,
like
it's
we
us.
got to support this, but we also got to pay for the fires
Right.
someplace
When
else.
there's a hurricane
And the
in another
disaster
country, we
someplace
pay for
else.
them.
Right. So
Right.
nobody's
That's a
jumping.
great point.
That's a ridiculous.
And that's what I hate
argument
about
also.
the foreign aid thing. Is
That's
I'm
a
cool.
great point.
Foreign aid, I'm good. Like, yeah, I think it's better to help people overall, but not when America's not,
I got
the
people-
shining mountain
like,
on a hill or whatever that's
You
saying.
got
It's
people
like,
arguing like you're making enemies out of Canada and Mexico. I'm like, enemies out of what do they do? Like Canada's got what, 2 planes they're gonna lend us if something happens.
I hate the Canada thing
and
too.
Mexico. What does Mexico send
I
us?
hate the tariff argument. Like, I'm not like super pro tariff, but I think it's just a it's
But
a
you
marketing.
hate. But we already know
It's
you
a
hate
negotiation.
Canada.
negotiation.
No, it's a,
It's a
negotiation
negotiation.
tool.
It's like a chip
But
for
what bugs me is like with Canada that we can tariffs are so bad. We're gonna pay so much more money. If you look at the tariffs that they put on us
It's a lot.
right now,
It's
Right
a
now,
lot.
It's a lot.
no, they don't sell American products in Canada.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
At all. So like, don't give me that like, oh, you're gonna like tank our economy.
gonna
It's like,
destroy our
I don't know.
economy.
How about we have an equal trade deal?
Right.
Why you like? How are you profiting? In
It's-
Canada, you buy
it's a
Canadian
ridiculous
stuff, and in
argument.
America, you buy
And when
Canadian
they
stuff.
start,
Yeah.
and when
That's
they,
not- that
and
doesn't
when
make
they-
sense.
But that's
No.
why they start pivoting to they're our friends. You're supposed to treat them right.
I'm tired of that.
Like it's
tired of
ridiculous.
that.
They're not.
Who treats us
There's no
right?
such thing.
Who takes care of this
Con-
country?
also,
Nobody.
I've always felt this way personally. I think that like we shouldn't, from a country standpoint, friends doesn't make like
not
nobody.
friends.
It's just it doesn't work like that.
Countries
Like
aren't people.
countries aren't
They're
people. It just
countries.
doesn't work
Yeah.
like that. There's no such thing as like no. Well, they'll defend us because they like us.
Right,
No, it's always this can benefit us later.
Yeah.
Like
It's a
nobody.
political thing.
Nobody
It's
is really
always.
like we're just gonna help them because they're nice. Like because we like
Because
America.
If it was that way,
That's just not how
if
it
it was
works.
that way, they would solve hunger and homelessness in America first. If
Right,
they were
right.
actually just trying to help the largest amount of people, they can directly help.
Exactly.
people
I
in
think
this
when I
country.
see like I don't mind aid for any other country, but when we need it first, we should get it first. There shouldn't be any homeless people in America
Nope.
if we can avoid it.
Nope.
Why
give
would we
$100
build houses?
billion
Right.
to-
The USAID, their yearly budget is $50 billion.
That's rude.
We can't solve. We can't fix.
We can't build a couple.
We can't fix
couple
any.
of
We
housing
can't build a couple
complexes.
free houses. Like I don't think I don't think the solution to homelessness is just like give them free houses.
I don't think
'cause
so
there's
either.
other
There's other
problems.
problems,
but
for sure.
but it seems like we could even do that.
We
like
could do
I don't
that,
think it's a
yeah.
good solution.
but it's a
But it's
solution.
a
$50
solution
billion a
that we
year,
could
I mean,
do,
Think about
and
how
we're
many-
choosing not to. It seems like
50
the government's
billion.
They could-
choosing not to do
Think
it.
about how many foster homes you could build for anchor babies.
You gotta listen to our last one to get that. Check in a week after or before this.
Our national debt is huge, trillions, right?
Yeah.
Like tens of trillions, like
Okay.
30 trillion or something like that.
That's money we owe all these other countries from it. We spend so much money.
We borrow
That's
to
what
pay
I'm
for
saying.
stuff here because we're sending so much
Because
money.
we're sending
out of the
our money,
country.
we
But
get
how-
tax money and send it
we send it away
elsewhere.
and
How
then
does
we
that even-
borrow money from China.
It's so
to pay
weird.
for the
That
stuff
whole
that we
system
need.
makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, what really makes no sense about it is it's never you can never collect on it. Like,
Exactly.
like China can't really go. All right,
Well, I'm
America,
curious to see-
pay up. Like
But
there's no.
why
I'm curious to
can't
see
they?
what he
Like-
does with Japan. Right, we have a huge debt with Japan, and he said he was going to do something about it when he met with the Japanese Prime Minister the other day. He's like, well, we're going to work that out.
They wipe. There's instances where people
they
just
just
wipe
wipe it out.
national debt
Yep.
because you can because it doesn't really mean
Doesn't-
anything.
yeah.
I mean, it seems like like debt in real life doesn't like
Doesn't really mean
it's not a
anything.
real.
So like
It's not a
It's not
thing.
a real
it's,
thing.
It's only
Japan was gonna
it's
buy
only
US
as
steel.
valid as it is enforced.
Right.
Like if only
Right.
if you're collecting debt does debt matter.
yeah,
matter.
yeah. If you
Right.
just say, you're good.
Who has the worst?
Nothing changes.
Who has the worst debt, country-wise?
Us.
Us.
We have the highest, and China owns most of it technically.
Yeah.
So then, technically, China's more powerful than us in a weird.
Like China, in a financial.
Yeah, in a financial way.
If you look at it from a financial standpoint, China technically we're kind of owned by China. Like we're sort of a subsidiary.
pretty
China
reliant.
turned
Oh,
around
China
tomorrow
Incorporated.
and said,
Pretty
I'm
reliant
collecting
on
on all my debt. We'd be
Yeah,
screwed.
and they had some way to collect. But that's the thing with
And
debt
guess,
collections.
and guess
is like,
how many countries would come to our aid?
None.
0.
None. But the funny thing with like debt is like what in America.
such a weird
Well,
thing.
it's sort of like like taxes, right? Taxes aren't debt, but it's a thing you owe. But at the end of the day, there's a gun pointed at you
Right.
about it.
Right,
Like
right.
you can't with China. Their gun would have to be their army. Like to really truly collect on the
to
debt,
send their army
they'd
over.
have to go to war with us,
Right.
Which is like not. Like doesn't make sense. It's
no
not
good
like
for
they're gonna start a
anybody.
war and then we're like, okay, here's $30 trillion. Like we don't have the money doesn't even exist to pay them.
Right,
It's like
right,
doesn't,
right.
it doesn't work in that same way.
Right.
I think it really has more to do with the leverage of like trade deals. I
Right.
think it's how it functionally impacts country. You know what I mean? That China's like, look, you owe us.
You have to give it
this.
meaning, otherwise.
So help,
they
we're not
won't be
gonna
able to do
we're not gonna
anything.
live that tariff, whatever. Then
Do-
fine, you owe us this much money, so we're gonna cut this because like we'll work out like all that kind
Well,
of.
that's
that
why
kind
they
of
get a lesser trade.
right
deal.
right. Which
Whatever.
he started like a 10% on
10%.
China, something like that. So people are mad that like Shein went up, and I'm like, so you're mad that like the child laborers are being put out of work? What's your heart? Like I never get that. That I'm like I don't. So it's like this thing's bad until we want to stop it, and now it's good.
Right.
Yeah.
And like even USAID,
What I
really, if you
wish-
look
can
into
I
it,
tell
it's
you what-
really a CIA like slush fund.
You know what I wish they would do? Amazon, if you're listening, because this annoys the hell out of me.
Bezos.
No, is for every product they offer, they should offer you one that's made in a country other than China. One Chinese one and something made. If there's not a product made, that's fine. I cannot find U.S. made products.
You should be able to filter by made in.
You
It,
should.
made
it
in
was
certain
like that in the
countries.
beginning
You
when
can't,
it
though.
started.
You
Now it's
can't.
all China.
It's all Chinese.
It's like, and there's
Yeah, it's
gotta
all
be,
shitty
like,
products
There's got to
now.
be products here that you could buy, but they just, for
You gotta
whatever
go
reason,
into the actual.
There probably
physical
was, but I
store
bet little by
and-
little they've been
They found a
pushed
cheaper
out
way.
because it's like nobody buying
it's
the American
cheaper. It's
T-shirts,
so much cheaper.
$50,
give us
and the
but
Chinese
give us
T-shirts
the option to
2 cents.
filter by it.
No, I
That's
agree,
all
I
ask.
agree.
Because
Filter by-
if I'm
filter by
willing to
country
pay,
of origin,
if
I
I'm
think
willing
makes
to
a
pay
lot of
more
sense.
for something,
Right.
right? Because, like I said, we talked about this one time, right? Like the disposable lighters,
Oh, but they got terrible.
right?
They're terrible.
They
now.
don't even work.
No.
right? And they sell
And
millions
you
of them.
see the
Three
gas
ti-
in it? And I'm like,
three
what's
times.
broken in
Why
here?
is it not working?
It's very simple. It's a spark.
So I'd rather buy a 10,
Yeah.
15, or $20
That lasts.
recharge, like refillable lighter
Yeah.
than these $10 things. But you can't and
get
lighter's a
those
bad
there.
example because you could find a lighter. But I mean, I had to buy an adapter.
You got to go
right?
Zippo, made in USA, baby.
Oh, electronics is a really good
For this.
That's a really
Oh,
Electronics
because
is
you
a
got
great.
USB-C now.
USB-C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got all the old
USB-C,
cords, so I said, I'll get an
the US
adapter.
yeah.
I couldn't find ones made in the U.S.
Yeah.
I had to
Right.
buy a Chinese.
Because
made one.
electronic,
They
it's,
might not
just
even
so,
make
it's
them.
so much more
So-
economical to
so
buy,
cheap to
make
buy Asian.
electronics in China.
I know, but
yeah.
it's like.
But that's also part of the tariff argument.
And maybe that's one that you can't find in the U.S. Again, maybe a bad
Yeah,
example.
some things might not
but
be
I'm
made.
saying if there's a choice,
They
like,
should.
like T-shirts,
should be able to
like
filter.
Shein,
I
right?
agree.
Clothing, I guess, or they sell everything.
Clo-
right?
I think most
Mostly
clothing.
clothing?
I think
It's
most
No,
mostly
clothing.
Shein, yeah, most.
Because
of
a
it.
lot of
Most
people.
So if
T-
Shein
Temu-
comes up,
Temu
you know,
is
Temu's
like-
anything.
one
Yeah,
American,
Temu is
one
Amazon.
American company that sells similar apparel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you could
'Cause
then take your choice.
lot of
If
people-
it's a money choice, fine.
I think a lot of people would use Amazon more in that case because I think there are people who strictly say they don't use Shein because of labor and
Child
China,
labor, 'cause
child
they-
labor
they-
and
Oh, I don't use it because it takes too long to get it.
and yeah, well, Amazon you don't have that problem, but I think a lot more people will actually turn to Amazon if they can guarantee that it's an American.
Yeah,
made
a lot
product.
more. I know a lot of
you know,
people are
made
switching to Walmart now, which I don't know if that's really American
I
product.
mean, it's here.
but
At least. It's probably not American product, but that's part of the tariff argument in general. Not even like using it. There's one. Okay, I think what Trump really, when he's talking about tariffs, it seems like to me that it's really just a negotiation tactic.
negotiation.
Always,
It is.
because
It always
the
is.
idea is most of the countries that we deal with need more from us than we need from them. So, yeah, like a 20% tariff, like with Colombia, right? When like suddenly people were worried about coffee beans or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
We can buy coffee beans from other places, but if Colombia couldn't sell us coffee beans, their economy would tank overnight.
Right.
Like 45% of their economy is selling U.S. coffee beans.
Right.
Selling to the
Coffee
U.S.
beans
coffee
to
beans.
you.
So like that, it's as a negotiation thing. Like, look, I don't want to do this to your economy, but I will if you don't take back your own citizens. Is that right?
Which is great.
As a negotiation tactic, but also the idea of tariffs, which is like people always complain like, oh, it's going to get more expensive to buy stuff. True, and I'm not for that. But the idea of tariffs is like, look, we outsourced everything. Nothing is like made and bought. Some things, obviously,
the
but
goal
like
is
the general idea is like most things are
Get
made
more
out of America.
production back in America. It's
If
not
you
being
tariff another,
reliant
right? It's the
on-
yeah, but then the down the line economic thing is like there's a short term pain, but long term it's like okay, so initially you used to buy stuff from China for $5, now it costs 15, and the U.S. thing costs 12. So you used to never buy it. Now you're like, it's a toss up. Or maybe the U.S. thing costs 15.
Right.
Let's say. So now it's like, I might as well buy U.S. Right. Or make China 20 so that you have to buy you, or it's better to buy U.S. Right. So initially it's like, well, it's more expensive because it's bought less as well. Like supply and demand, the whole way the thing works.
Right.
When there's more demand,
when
there's more supply. Demand, like it's a whole thing. I'm not gonna go
when
through the
they
economics of it, but the price will decrease actually when
Because
more people
will
buy
be
it.
buying from it.
So the price goes down, not up.
Right.
So it's like a long term. Initially, yeah, our shirts made in the U.S. right now $50 compared to China's 10. Yeah, because people in the U.S. need to get paid real wages,
Right.
and use real equipment. And in China, it's a bunch of children being like whipped. Right. So like, yeah, it's cheaper for
Theoretically,
labor.
they can lower their profit margin.
Right,
if
but
more
like,
people
but
are
I
buying.
think, but I love the argument, or not the argument, but when people are like, well, it's just gonna be more expensive. I'm like, yeah, but that means that Americans are being paid fair salaries for their labor.
Right.
So as long as if we can afford it, and other people are getting paid for it, I'd love it to be Americans first.
Yeah.
I'm not against buying stuff from China. But
Right.
why is
Why does
everything I
everything
own?
have to come from
Everything I
China?
own.
Everything.
China.
Like Americans can't make sweatshirts. Like that's. I don't think there's like the idea of like one of the funny things with like immigration. I like suddenly the left is like kind of racist, going, well, who's gonna pick our fields?
I'm.
And it's like
I heard that too.
that's
Like,
all they're good.
who's
for.
gonna
Like,
clean?
what are you talking about?
I
Are
heard
Americans
who's
better
gonna
than
clean
that?
your house?
Yeah.
Who's
Right, I'm
gonna?
like, that's
I'm like, that
nuts.
was such a racist comment.
Yeah, I'm like, and that's their
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
Who's
going to
do all the jobs that you won't do?
It's like,
I'm
but it's like I don't think Americans are just above that job of like
Yeah.
working a field. I
I
don't. There's
work- I
farmers.
work a furrow.
I just don't get. Yeah, like I don't understand it. Really, the argument is though is that Americans won't do it for change.
Right, exactly.
That's really
They
the
won't
problem.
do it for the
Americans won't do it
for
for
the
50
prove you wrong.
cents.
Right, that they're
I would like I don't know, strawberries or whatever.
I would.
Exactly.
For
I would do that
$100
for-
an hour.
for a
100%,
regular
right,
salary.
for a good salary.
Absolutely.
Right.
For
Absolutely,
60 grand a
see?
year in healthcare, what's wrong with that?
60
But
grand.
for
no,
50
I said
cents,
100.
You're not.
I said 100 an
35?
hour.
He said 100
No, but that's-
an hour.
That's-
Yeah,
that's-
but nobody.
You're
Okay,
not.
but
You're not doing.
he's
that.
kidding. Nobody's paying you
I know.
150
That's
to
what
do
I'm
that.
saying. You're not
But
going
I'm
to a
saying-
field
Oh, yeah.
for any.
Even call it like
Any wage
minimum
they're willing
wage,
to
35
pay.
grand a year in healthcare.
Yeah.
Pay a real salary, but they get to pay illegal immigrants 15 cents and like a stipend for food or whatever.
Right.
And that's not good though for anybody. I don't think at the end of the, I mean, I guess it's better whatever than their home country, but yada yada yada.
right.
I don't know. I think really the foreign aid stuff like USAID or whatever, I think it's just got to stop. Like you said, he put a pause on it.
Right.
While the investigation is going on, I think the audit makes total sense. I can't believe
so, too.
anybody
Would-
is
would-
against
would
it. Would
disagree with
argue
the
against it at all. That blows my mind.
And they're arguing specifically against that audit.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they know they're all tied
Money
up into
going
it.
out of
Because
the
it's
country.
their money.
They're into it.
It's
They
so-
know they're all
Because
going to be
it's
a split.
that's their
It's so
money.
insane.
Yeah.
Didn't Al Green? Is it Al Green? Was there one else? I might have
It was
wrong.
a single, wasn't it?
No.
Started impeachment.
An impeachment,
yeah,
yeah.
it might
Al
be
Green.
Al Green.
Not
For-
the singer
Did you
guy.
read
the
the
other
thing
one.
though?
I know you're talking about.
What's it?
For dastardly deeds. I swear to God. I swear to God. Look it up right now. Dastardly
thing.
deeds. That's in the. He said that in the impeachment proceeding.
He's tied into every one of these. He knows he's going to lose his money. That's
Yeah.
why.
They all are. That's the crazy thing, though. But it's like such a. I think like somebody says, "Hey, U.S. taxpayer dollars, to the tune of like I think $1 billion was spent on irrigation systems in Afghanistan
That's
for
ridiculous.
poppy
yeah.
fields
I
for
rise,
heroin."
I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed
What's
and
he-
dastardly deeds
Who
done.
was that? What cartoon was that? Was that Tweety
Dick
Bird?
Dastardly.
Dick Dastardly.
Dick Dastardly. Wacky
No,
races.
Wacky
Wacky races. And Muttley.
Yes.
There you go.
Dastardly deeds. Like it's not. It's none of it's real anymore. I feel like it's all this like fake show. I mean, dastardly deeds.
Dastardly deeds.
That's in the
Can
Can we get
impeachment
back to
proceedings.
DOGE and the fact that AOC thinks that Elon Musk is an idiot?
She thinks he's dumb.
Yeah. She thinks he's an idiot.
It's so ridiculous. That guy is.
You know what cracked
friggin'
me
brilliant.
up about that? I saw that video, and I noticed that she first said, he's the dumbest billionaire I ever met."
Yeah.
And then she realized she's like, I shouldn't really say I
I
meet
met-
billionaires.
Yeah.
She's like, or heard of. She like changed it 3 times. She's like, I've met or seen or know of. I was like, because I know that she's like, she probably has met Elon
Oh,
Musk.
definitely, yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's like, I'm supposed to be anti these. I shouldn't have met.
I shouldn't have met
met
many
multiple
billionaires.
billionaires.
Right. Yeah, yep.
Most people don't know multiple
billionaires.
billionaires, and then to complain about them. So she's
Yeah.
like, or just know of. I don't know of any billionaire so dumb. And
She's
I'm like,
destroying
well-
herself. She started off kind of okay, and now she's.
she
I don't
is the
even think she
pinnacle.
started off okay.
She's.
Yeah.
I think she. I don't like her. I think she's an idiot.
I think she
but I
was
think
what
she
she was
meant
from the
it
beginning.
initially.
Mm.
No, I think she meant it, and then the second the money came in, she's like,
What,
Yeah.
what,
Now she's
what do
I'll
I
be
gotta-
a-
what do I? What do I
I'll
got
be
to
a
fight
swamp.
for?
I'll be a swamp creature.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what happened.
100%. Because it seemed like it happened overnight.
Yeah.
Or like Bernie, right? Like, I'm not a Bernie guy. He had like this, like, he actually did, though, like in the 2016 election at least, have like this real grassroots support. Because like he seemed like he meant, I never believed it. And then, but like, the first time it was like, well, you own 3 houses. You're a.
And he's never had a
devout-
job.
Your whole thing, you're like, I'm a socialist, democratic socialist, whatever. I don't think anybody should have more than anybody else. And it's like, well, you have 3 houses, though.
Right.
It's like, are you going to give up 2 of them? He's like, well, I made my money the right way. It's like,
But he
what are you
made.
arguing against?
He's been a public.
He's like, no, billionaires are bad. I'm good. And then the RFK, did you see this whole thing with RFK's confirmation?
No.
And it turns out Bernie Sanders took they asked him. He
from
took
the-
1.5 million from Pharma.
Oh, really?
And he said his defense of it was like, it's only 1.5. They gave out 100.
Yeah, I remember.
And he's like, that's nothing.
That's nothing.
And it's like one of those things where he got so detached
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
that he thinks everybody listening is gonna go, oh, that's only 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Shh. Well, like he picked a dime up off the street. Like that's how he sees it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because he's worth millions of dollars, and he doesn't realize that people are like, dude, you're the guy who you hate.
Right.
You're saying we should like get rid of all the billionaires. Like you're a millionaire. You got 3 houses in like Nantucket
And
or
that's the
whatever.
thing,
Get
though.
out of
Like I
here.
say, he's never had a regular job.
No,
he's been
he's a
politician his
lifelong
whole life,
politician.
Yeah.
and he's that rich from politics.
He's a terrible person. I think.
100%.
I don't get his whole like.
He's also.
He acts like he's like the righteous guy. I hate it.
I mean, he would be the most righteous. He has the least amount of money of all of them.
I guess. Yeah.
yeah, if he has the least.
Some
but,
of them
like,
are sitting on hundreds of millions.
get to
This
have-
guy just got
Oh,
3
no,
houses
th-
and a couple of million.
There's worse, right? There's like Pelosi.
Oh,
right?
she-
For every Bernie, there's a Pelosi.
So
Like,
he was-
she is
he's
the
like,
worst.
fine, but like, but that was kind of his argument. He's like, look, I'm only stealing
I'm only a little bit. I mean,
I'm not. I could have stole 100 million.
Right, I could've
I
stole
only got
100.
1.5. Relax.
I'm only
trying
worth
to be
about
nice.
5
He's like,
million.
look, I'm gonna take a little bit.
Yeah.
What am I stupid?
No, that's- yeah,
Like, what am I, an idiot? I'm
Let's
gonna
see.
take a little bit of aid.
AOC's net worth. Let's see what it is.
She's
After-
like
how
20
many
million
years is she
now.
in?
I don't know.
I think she's got 20 million.
She
20
said,
to
no,
40.
This also like went viral recently because somebody said she's like worth 20 million.
She's
whatever.
20 to 40.
And she's like,
from last time I
her
remember.
like earnings last year was like 500,000, something like that. But this is one of those things where like, yeah, she's worth like, apparently her actual like posted earnings because they have to make them public is like next to nothing. But her husband is worth like
Wow.
10
yeah.
million.
Yeah, how'd
It's
he
like,
get the money?
and he wasn't
She
worth.
says she's
and he
not-
wasn't
Yeah.
worth 10 million
She
a
said
couple
she's
years
not
ago.
even worth 500,000.
Yeah, look up her husband though. It's one of
No,
those
look
things.
up her-
It's Pelosi.
here.
It's Pelosi going.
my
I'm
phone's
not. I'm not that good at stock market. My
Yeah.
husband's just a genius.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
my
yeah.
husband's just the smartest guy ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Better,
I
than,
happen to be a
better
you know,
than Warren Buffett.
I happen to be a lifelong
Yeah.
politician who knows
Go to-
about these
go
things.
to network,
Like, whatever.
network.com and put her name in there.
Who, Pelosi or
No,
AOC?
AOC.
No, she on her like they have to put their earnings.
Right.
I think it is low. I looked into
Her
it.
earnings are low, but her wealth.
No, I
is
think her
not.
net worth. No, she like doesn't own anything. She like rents a house.
No,
I'm
sir.
telling you, you got to look. No, the
Yeah,
trick.
they
The trick
all
is
rent a house, but they own the other ones.
the trick is her husband is worth.
Yeah.
Who doesn't do anything?
What?
He's worth a ton of money.
Network.com.
Network.com.
Just do network.
One word or two.
One word. It's always one word.
I don't know. I think they're all
Is that the right
crooks,
internet
and I'm
word?
glad I'm glad somebody's
Yeah.
finally looking
Just
at
do
the money.
network and see if it pulls up.
And it's
I think
such a
it makes
weird
sense.
thing
I
to
think if
fight
it's
against.
successful, I think it could be incredible.
Yeah,
If
I
it's
think it seems like it's
successful,
been
I think
working.
it could be
That's not-
incredible. I mean, I
That's
don't know.
not it.
I'll
That's
really
not the
look at
site.
it at the
Maybe
end.
it's not-
You know,
just
you never
type
really
in-
know until
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
network.
That is
all
true.
You should
over.
find.
That is true.
I'll look at it at the end, but I think it's a
bunch of
good
websites.
initiative. I said
Gotta learn how to
before,
type.
you know,
Huh?
I'm hesitant with
I gotta
Elon
learn
Musk
how to type.
because I mean, a guy like that to me, like everybody calls him a genius. I think the biggest thing is his mind for business.
What do you want?
A guy like that's always
What's
looking to make
this? Oh,
money.
it's
You
an
know what I
actual
mean?
website
I think
that
the,
will
Is he?
show
But
he
people's
finally
networks.
decided he has enough argument.
Can't stop-
Come
arrest
on.
that.
He wants
Yeah, no.
his stocks to go up. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
I don't disagree with that.
So I think at the end it'll be. I think it is fair.
it's
I think
just
it's bad to fight against it. I think if you're just like this is a stupid idea, you're not paying attention. You just don't like Elon Musk. But I think if you're like me and kind of hesitant because of him, I think it makes sense because, I mean,
But I think in the role that he's doing, it seems like he could no part of his job
that's
is
what I
like we
mean, is
should
that-
give money.
I feel like
let's stop USAID and give the money to Tesla.
I feel
like
like it
that
is
hasn't
very-
happened. When
I
that
think
happens,
it
I'm like
is-
that's crazy.
I think
but it
is
hasn't.
very. I think he's doing a good thing here. Okay, here's what I actually think is happening. He is. The DOGE by all means is being run properly because, like I said, they have no executive ability.
Right.
They can only
If you can't
do
actually do
research.
anything,
right? They can only do
200,000.
research.
So she
But I
does
think
have a
that he
plan.
needs to get close to the White House because of the things he
No.
wants
But her
to
husband,
do on
he
Mars
said is
and
rich.
space
Get
that he
taking all
needs
the money.
the government's
What's in
support
his name?
for.
All the money.
Yeah.
And being close
Smart.
to the government grants him that. You know, he wants to start
Yeah.
a colony on Mars. That's like his biggest goal, right? Being
I
close
think
to
it
the
benefits
government,
him.
It benefits him, but I think that
But that doesn't mean
as a
Doge is
byproduct,
bad.
right? As a byproduct
Right.
of trying to benefit himself, he started this program, and I think that they're
I'm
they're
okay with
locked
that.
in.
But
They're
I mean,
locked
yeah.
in. No, I'm
I'm
okay with that
yeah,
as
I'm
well.
okay with
I'm
people.
that as well.
But everybody
I think-
in
Everybody-
politics is
everybody
crooked.
does
I'm
that.
okay with that.
But
as
if he's
well. I
if
think
he's
that-
You
doing
just gotta
something
see
good
that
with
he-
No, I
politics
understand.
to help him, then I
understand.
like
I'm
that.
okay with that.
That's
not what I
okay.
was explaining.
No, I know.
What
I'm just saying
is
my
that-
my
that
side.
I think
Wanna
people are
fight?
hesitant. I think people are hesitant because it's Elon Musk. They
both
think
off
that
your feet.
Doge itself is corrupt,
That's-
because they're
no.
like he must be getting something out of it. And I'm saying he is getting something out of it. It's just totally separate from
Right.
what Doge is. Because if you take away their executive ability to do anything, which I'm going
Yeah,
off
which
your
they don't
word on
have.
this,
No,
by
they
the way.
don't.
I
They,
haven't-
no,
I
they
mean, I
don't.
believe
They
you.
only
I
give
haven't looked up.
recommendations.
But
Right.
yeah, they
That was
have,
the issue with the Treasury is they were given
Right.
right access. They
They
were
have
allowed
no-
like they had the ability to do a
They
thing.
should've
They have
did it.
no.
They only have.
executive
They can only
ability.
tell.
They
To
should
give
have.
information at this
The
point.
only thing they can really do is research.
Yeah.
And so at the end, I want to see at the end of the 2 years what their big report
that-
is.
I'd like to see
I'd
that
like to
as
see that. But I think that's why people would fight against it is because they're like he has to be getting something out of it. And I'm like he is. It's
But you,
just
I
totally
mean,
separate
like
from-
you say that on the one hand, but like Johnny said, everybody in government is in it to get something, right? I mean, even the
Well, we have to
politicians
act like it's not
are in it-
true.
Yeah, we got to
We have
pretend
to
it's not
act
true.
like it's not
but,
true.
But everybody wants to say that Elon Musk is there just for his own. Like he really doesn't almost need like anything from the government at this point.
He's
No,
doing it
he
for
already
glo-
did.
right, right.
I gotta act like Pelosi means to help.
Right.
She just happens to also, through her political career, make $100 million.
right.
Right,
Unrelated.
Right.
right.
So like
Musk made $400 billion before government, but now he's like, now I really
now
need
I'm gonna
money.
really
Right,
I'm
right,
gonna really
exactly.
rake them over the coals.
That
Exactly.
makes
now.
sense. Like that makes sense.
And that's the thing. They're all doing it for money, houses, for their own pocket. He's doing it for the glory. Like
Well,
he
I think
wants
he's doing
to.
it. I think he's doing it because he wants to start a colony on Mars.
Well,
He
yeah,
wants
but that's
the
still
government
glory.
support.
That's still
Fine.
glory.
I hope it's got a U.S.
but,
flag
but
on it.
he would
But-
have been able to start a colony on Mars without the government. Is my
Right.
point.
I know.
I think that
It
I-
maybe-
I
disagree.
kinda- I gotta see
Maybe
that.
I
it'll
disagree.
speed up the process.
I-
Maybe it'll speed up the process a
disagree.
little bit.
I don't know.
I think
Well,
space is very owned by the government, kind of.
Even though it's not owned by anybody.
To colonize a
I-
No, he could
planet
pay his way
without
in.
a country.
Listen,
I mean,
But
I
it'd
don't
be
know.
beneficial to have like
The
NASA
the
on
government
his
would have
side.
been looking to
I heard that's what he wants to put
take
all
the
the.
money.
buddy up with him to do
Okay,
it.
fair.
That's what I'm saying.
maybe.
Like,
That's
I don't
fair.
think he really needed.
I don't-
I don't think so.
so much.
I think it helps.
I think he
I
would have
think-
got there either way.
I think it's a good
Yeah.
point.
I heard he
think
wants
it's
to
an argument
put
be made,
he
but I
wants to put
disagree. I
anchor
think-
families on Mars.
Kind of all would be, right?
An anchor baby forced the colony on Mars.
That's
That's
the,
a good way to
that's
handle
the,
him.
that's
a
the
good way to
director.
handle him.
That's
a
the
good way to handle
director.
him. The parents get deported to Mexico. The anchor babies get sent to
Mars.
Mars, and they get a whole planet.
Oh,
They get a
buddy.
whole planet.
Matt would love
Talk
that,
about
especially if he
foster
was
care.
director. That's your idol, like one of your idols. You love him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Madonna.
It's just like I think that's just a false
Elon
argument.
Musk also really.
They're just
disappointed
fighting.
me.
Like if you're fighting Elon Musk, it's just because you don't want him to uncover anything.
I disagree. If you're
I don't
fighting
think it's because you
Doge,
don't want to
You're
be
fighting Doge.
cover
Fighting Doge.
anything. I think if
you
you're
can.
fighting,
I think there is a reasonable argument about like I'm worried about a private
Him
billionaire
exploiting it.
being
Right.
involved
But I
in
don't think
government
he
in this
is.
way. But from what I understand and
They
from what it
can't
seems
do
like,
anything.
they're not changing things. They're just investigating.
looking at the books,
For
yeah.
Doge, I don't see a thing. I haven't seen a thing wrong with it, other than like that treasury
That's what I'm
thing,
saying.
which seems like, but it seems like it was a mishap. It doesn't seem like it
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
a they didn't hack
if
the
they
treasury.
legitimately didn't do anything,
You know, it doesn't seem like,
You know?
from what I could tell, it's hard to research. I agree.
is very
I
hard to
tried
research,
because I was like, that would be a messed up. You know, I try to be like, I know we all like we've been talking about politics in general, and like I'm more conservative, like on Trump's side, but I don't want to be the guy who's like blindly whatever they do now is good.
Yeah,
No,
I don't like
100%.
that
That's not the
because I
case,
disagree with that. So when I heard the treasury thing, I was like, I want to.
See
If they're
what's going
they're
on. Are they
doing
really
something
doing it?
illegal,
Right.
I don't want to be on the side of it. I tried to
Yep.
look into it. It's very difficult. It seems like it was an accident. Like it was like somebody at the treasury was instructed to give access to Doge, and they gave right access, not view only.
I mean,
nobody at Doge made any
are they-
physical change. They didn't sign any loans. Like
Right.
they didn't block any payments.
Are there any
It was
cases
found out.
right
It may
now-
move to view only. That's as far as I.
Are there any cases right now, like what am I looking for? About Doge, like in general?
Just that treasury thing.
just
Just that.
But there's a case on that.
There's an investigation, or they want an investigation
I'm
to
saying,
happen.
is
They were
anything-
protesting. They were protesting a bunch of the
Is there
politicians.
anything in the courts questioning the legality of Doge itself doing what they're doing?
Only the treasury
Only-
aspect.
Yeah.
The Doge
No,
again.
Doge, it has
Presidents
every
are
right to
allowed to
exist,
create
yeah.
temporary organizations,
so-
and they're allowed to appoint the head.
And the thing that's
so he's allowed.
but that's in court, or has that already been like they shut them down?
that-
No,
already?
right
you
now-
can't argue against it. Yeah, they didn't bring it to court at
That's
all.
what I'm saying.
It-
No, Doge is good. Doge,
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Doge
there's-
existing
that's
is
my
good.
point. That's my
Oh
point.
no,
It's
no
like
issues.
there's
Oh
nobody
no, there's no
fighting-
legality
Right.
issue with it
So
existing.
all the stuff that you hear about it is just noise.
Except
from
the-
people trying to make you think.
Well,
that
except
this
for
is-
the Treasury
Well,
thing.
except for if that was because
Except for
the
this
thing
specific
the
thing that happened.
is that
my point.
The way I like to see it,
Doge can exist. You seem very confused.
It happened, but you said you think that was like a one-off accident.
but if
thing.
you
It seems to me,
just
but it might have
heard,
been.
and it's been corrected.
That is, yeah.
Like
yes.
nobody's in court saying Elon Musk got his hands on stuff he shouldn't.
well, they
have.
want to do an investigation to make sure that they didn't.
Who's doing that
execute it.
investigation?
Let me put it like this.
He's saying-
I'll try to
he's saying
explain
they're-
because I looked this up. Like I tried to do in depth as I could. It's hard to find it.
You know what, Mike? Don't even tell me because if it was if it was a big deal and they thought there was stuff illegally taken by Elon Musk, it would be all over the place.
No, but yeah, that's true. It is as I understand factual that nothing was. They didn't make any physical changes.
Right.
The argument is it's illegal to gain access. So the argument, this is pretty much the argument, right? Doge is allowed to exist. Elon's allowed to be the head. The problem with the Treasury thing is if Doge, right, went to the Treasury and said, "Hey, we're this organization. We want right access." That's illegal. Because that's
they
a
wanna
lot. Like
see-
they tricked.
they wanna
They
see if it was
fundamentally
really a
tricked
mishap or
the
if they-
Treasury
So
into
they're trying
giving
to
them
see if they were- okay.
them
If it was
information.
actually a
If they
mishap
said
or if they
said,
legitimately
"Hey,
went
right,
and
is it a
tried to
mishap
trick
or was
them.
it a trick? Was it done intentionally?" Right? If the Doge guy went to the head of the Treasury and said, "Hey, I need full access to all this. I'm auditing all you guys.
No, that I
I
get,
need
that
to
I get.
I need to be able to block payments." He can't say that.
understand.
Like that's
Yeah.
illegal.
So that's what they
So they're
wanna
investigating
find
because they were given right access. They figured somebody at the Treasury, I think, like said, "Oh, they have right access." They said, "Oh, sorry" or whatever. I don't know. They didn't really said sorry. Just my point being that they then changed it. That now they still have access to the records, but view only. And during they apparently the Treasury did their own not investigation but checked, and they didn't make any changes. They didn't pay anybody. They didn't block any payments,
anything
but they
wrong.
had access for that period of time.
So now they want
to
to
private records.
attempting to trick anything,
Right.
or
If they intentionally and the argument that people are making is, well, did they get that access? And yeah, they didn't use it yet, but they now have, somebody saved all this information that's non-private or non-public. I mean, right? But they're really fighting it because they disagree with Doge.
Right, of course.
But that act there is a constitutional question there about their access to the Treasury. I don't think it'll come to anything because I think
think so.
it seems like to me it probably was an accident
And
or not
correct- and
accident.
corrected
It's probably
quickly
just
to
like
their-
Was
you can
Elon
get
Musk asking for
They gave-
not an inept government employee giving him access by mistake.
That's what I think it probably comes down to. It's probably like the guy at the
Read
Treasury
and write,
going,
you know?
yeah, he's like, yeah, you have the login, and it was like the wrong login. He
was
gave
the
the
wrong login.
admin one instead of the
rig. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like that's what I think it was, but there is an argument there though. But that's the only one. Doge is
It
totally
makes sense to
legal.
be investigated.
The
Doge is totally
inception of it totally legal. Like no issues there.
Anyway,
That was good.
34 minutes.
45.
Otherwise, I'd bring up the Panama Canal and the Gulf of America. But maybe we can do that another time.
I think we should just rename. I noticed this with the Gulf of America. Last thing, I guess. But the Gulf of America, you can rename stuff. It doesn't actually matter
Doesn't
because it's
matter.
not like.
You
It's
don't
just like
own
the
it. You
government.
don't
Like
own
it
it, right.
doesn't really matter. He should just name everything America.
All he's saying is he wants
Canada
to put it on
of
our maps.
America,
Right.
Mexico of America, Panama Canal of America. Like just anything. Just he should just do that to mess with everybody.
that'd
That
be
I would
hard.
love that.
That'd be
I heard
hilarious.
That would crack
I heard
me up.
Panama backed out of their little deal
They
with
did.
China.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know what we offered them or if we just went in and made a good case.
I think it was a tariff thing. Well, that does bug me because we did create it,
We did.
and they're like, well, it's
Everybody
ours
else-
now. It's like,
Everybody
well,
else failed at it.
well,
Well,
Kinda helped you
that was
out.
another thing I was trying to look
Well,
up.
Bay of Pigs, right?
Supposedly there was,
Wasn't that
there
Panama
was a
Canal?
treaty,
Yeah.
right? That
There was.
we would give them control of it, but they
After a
had
certain
to
amount of years.
do certain things.
and they stopped doing those things.
They didn't do
well,
it.
they're giving control of it to somebody else. Basically, giving
Yeah,
it
they
to
They
took
China.
like sold it.
They're
They
not
took
really
it and
supposed to be
sold
able
it.
to do that.
Then they sold it.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody, and as always.
Stay angry, annoyed, and amused.